Hi there. My name is Sharon DiPolito, and I will be sharing chapters 31 through 35 with you. Okay, I'm on page 117, chapter 31, More Black Holes. A week later, as I'm hiking up the front steps to school, I realize I haven't seen that nanny toting backpacks for a while. Maybe she found a better job, one where she doesn't have to be a human luggage cart. Ever since the science fair, I've been busy trying to think of new ways to excel. Mathletes, water polo, competitive dog walking. Suraj, Emily, and Kwame are full of suggestions. You should try out for the girls' hockey team, said Kwame, or the basketball team. Hey, you know why Cinderella was so bad at sports? No, I told him. Because her coach was a pumpkin. I laughed. Then I did try out for the hockey team, because I can skate some. I ended up inside the goal, on my butt. Emily said I should try out for the chess team. I did. Turns out, I'm better at checkers. The Doodlers Club, said Suraj. It's not a very ambitious goal, but any club membership might make you look better to the Excelsior judges. I attended one meeting and drew an incredibly awesome spaceship cruising through the stars. But I don't think anybody can really excel at doodling. That's why they call it doodling. I'm going through a mental checklist of other clubs as I reach the top of the stairs. I am so lost in thought, I almost don't see Tim. Hey, I say. He doesn't say hey back. Where's my robot, he asks. I'm sort of surprised. I didn't bring it with me to school today. Because you don't need it anymore, said Tim. I'm sorry, Tim. It's just that, crush it, Ainsley. I'm interrupted by Mrs. Braden Hammerschmidt down in the drop-off lane. Every day in every way, shouts Ainsley as she charges up the steps with her cello case. Excelsior! She bounds up the stairs, two at a time, and she sees me and Tim, and the way Tim is kind of glaring at me. Ooh, what's this? Trouble in Nerdsylvania? This is none of your business, Ainsley, says Tim. He turns to face me. The marble shooter is mine, and I want it back. Ainsley giggles and breezes into the building. Tim, I'm sorry if... Just bring me my robot. I need it for a magic trick. Okay, he marches off. There's a commotion at the foot of the steps. Where's Dr. Throckmorton? Demands a man standing behind Carter Keslow. Carter's decked out in his Chumley Prep letter jacket, probably to remind everybody what a huge football star he is. I need to see Dr. Throckmorton. Is there a problem, sir? Asks the security guard. You bet there is. This school is cheating my son out of what is rightfully his. Oh, you're Carter's father? That's right. And do you know how much money I donate to this school every year? No, sir. Well, I sure do. I need to see Dr. Throckmorton immediately. The guard escorts Mr. Kelso up the steps. Why don't we go see if he's in his office? He'd better be, fumes Mr. Kelso. I paid for that office. In science, we watch a documentary about Rachel Carson, the conservatist who wrote a book called Silent Spring. She's one of my heroes, says Mrs. Oliverio. When the movie's done, Dr. Van Dusen's too. That makes me smile. Rachel Carson is Ms. Olario's and Mr. Van Dusen's Nellie Dumont Frise. We're both very interested in protecting our environment. So every year on what we call Rachel Carson Day, we lead a team of Chumley students who volunteer to clean up a mile of highway. Next Monday... She is interrupted by Dr. Throckmorton's voice coming out of the ceiling speakers. Pardon the interruption, he says. I have an announcement to make in regard to the ongoing Excelsior Award competition. This is big. We haven't heard any official news about the contest since the first assembly, way back in January. Now it's almost the end of February. There are only 3 weeks left until someone wins the competition. Suraj shoots me a big thumbs up. He's still convinced that I'm going to win the Excelsior because I won the science fair. It has been brought to my attention, Dr. Throckmorton continues, that the Excelsior competition has thus far not been fair to all of our students, particularly those who excel at fall and spring sports. Therefore, to level the playing field, so to speak, we will be hosting an all-sports athletic exhibition next Monday. Coach Tucci and Coach Marcus will select the top athletes for football, baseball, volleyball, field hockey, soccer, lacrosse, and softball. Those teams will then engage in a series of short, Intramural scrimmages next Monday, immediately after school. The bell rings. That is all, said Dr. Throckmorton. Have a pleasant and productive day. We'll talk more about the public service projects tomorrow, says Miss Oliviero, as everybody packs up their books to change classes. Tough break, Suraj tells me when we're in the hall. I did not see that coming. Unfortunately, sporting events have champions and clear winners. And after next Monday, you may no longer be in the lead for the Excelsior. Who do I want to be? Well, Mr. Van Dusen, given the new wrinkle in the Excelsior Award competition, I wouldn't mind being a superstar athlete, but I would need to become one by next Monday. I never really played in organized sports, except soccer. And when I was 6, we weren't very organized, but I did make some good friends, something that keeps getting harder and harder. The more I focus on the Excelsior, Tim is upset because I don't have time to even think about magic. I also don't have time to hang with my old friends, like Hannah. It makes me wonder, is there any way to be a person who wins without losing all your friends? Probably not. I wonder if Nellie Dumont Frise has any friends. Chapter 32, Decisions, Decisions. The week flies by. All the athletes are practicing for the intramural games. Come next Monday, I won't be the only student with a clear-cut victory. I fear my chance at winning the Excelsior Award might be slipping out of my grip. It's like I'm on a spacewalk and somebody is sawing through the tether connecting me to the mothership. One more cut, and I'll drift off into vast nothingness, surrounded by the constellations Losirus Major. In English on Friday, Mr. Van Dusen gives us his pitch for the after-school highway litter removal project. I'm like Shakespeare, he says. I find tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. Kwame has a squeamish look on his face. You found a tongue in trees? It's a metaphor, Kwame. Work with me. Mr. Van Dusen holds up a clipboard with a sign sheet. It's empty. Okay, my merry pranksters, as you know, we have a lot of competition on Monday. Intramural athletics at 3. Mathletes are meeting at 4:30. The bathletes are probably hosting their bubble bath competition on Monday, too. We all laugh. So, if you're not an athlete, a mathlete, or a bathlete, we need you. Tim raises his hand. I'll do it, he says. Excellent. Who else? We leave at 3. We pick up trash for an hour. You're back here by 4:30. So you could technically go to the mathletes meeting. I raise my hand. I'll sign up. I'm hoping I can do both. The trash pickup because it's a good thing to do. Plus, I really like Mr. Van Dusen and Mrs. Oliverio. And Tim will be there. And our friendship could use a little tidying up, too. I'll join Emily at the mathletes meeting because making the team might help my Excelsior chances. Anybody else? Asked Mr. Van Dusen. No. Still nothing. Even though I think he was quoting Shakespeare again. Okay, he says. Did Mrs. Oliverio talk to you guys about Rachel Carson? A bunch of us nod. Who knows why Miss Carson gave her the book the title Silent Spring? Because she had spring allergies and she got laryngitis? Silent Spring? Cracked Kwame. Good guess, Mr. Walker, but at last I'm afraid you are incorrect. Thanks for playing. No, my faithful friends, she is called Silent Spring because she imagined a world so polluted that there weren't any more birds. No merry chirping in trees, no robins bobbing for worms. What gone without a word? If we don't clean up and protect our earth, spring may grow as quiet as Juliet's tomb. Still no volunteers. Mr. Van Dusen slurps sips from a paper cup filled with what, at the end of the period, has to be very cold coffee. One other thing, participation in the highway cleanup counts as public service, which always looks good on a college application. 6 hands shoot up. Huzzah, says Mr. Van Dusen, which I think is how Shakespeare would say, yay. Chapter 33, Trash Talk. I spend the weekend walking Mr. Pugsley and reaching out to Tim with texts. I even put a piff-puff in one. He doesn't respond. On Monday, the whole class is decorated with banners and bunting and pom-poms. Imagine a homecoming football game taking place on the same day as the lacrosse, soccer, baseball, tennis, and cross-country championships. There's even a 4th period prep rally. Ainsley Braden Hammerschmidt is, of course, captain of the girls lacrosse team. I figure she probably likes whacking people with that net-on-stick thing. I see Tim during our independent study time in Media Center. He pretends he doesn't see me. At 3 p.m., those of us who signed up for the Rachel Carson Day trash removal project line up to board the bus that will take us to the cleanup site. I see Suraj. Hey, I say, giving him a wave. He's with Kwame and Emily. Tim's there, too. I muster my courage and try one more time. Hey, I said to Tim. Hey, Tim says back. Got any new tricks? A few. Cool. I've got your robot in my locker, so you can do that trick, too. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sorry I didn't give it back right away. Tim looks down at his shoes. Piper, he models. Yeah? There's really no such thing as a magic trick with the marble shooter robot. Really? Because I was totally looking forward to seeing it. Tim looks up. I notice a faint smile tugging at his lips. Phew, I think we can be friends again. The bus drops us off along the side of a busy highway. The shoulder of the road is ground zero for a meteor shower of bottles and cans, tires, hubcaps, French fry holders and discarded shopping bags, and shoes. Somebody tossed out a pair of high heels. Cars and 18-wheelers zoom past, and some toss out crushed fast food bags and half-filled drink cups, just to give us a little more litter to pick up. We're decked out in bright orange vests and even brighter reflective strips. A lot of the garbage is gross and slimy, and I am so glad that Miss Oliverio thought to pack a box of rubber gloves. How long do we have to do this for it to count? Whines a girl named Gabrielle. I need you guys to spend at least a half an hour out here, says Miss Oliveiro. Fine, Gabrielle activates the timer on her phone. That like 50 minutes from now. We'll have a lot then, too, Emily reminds me. The mathletes meeting is at 4:30. I drag my big plastic bag over to where Tim is plucking trash. Want to share, I ask, opening the bag. Sure. We toss trash into the black sack, and all of a sudden I hear something cooing. Is that a bird, I say, looking around? Yes, said Tim. I think it's coming from your bag, Piper. No way, I tell him. We put everything in the bag. We did not drop a bird inside. Tim puts her ear to the bag. I hear more cooing. Sure sounds like we did. Suraj, Kwame, and Emily come over. Tim, says Kwame, why are you listening to a trash bag? Shh, says Tim. I think it might be... He takes a dramatic pause. Alive! He reaches into the bag and he pulls out a rainbow-colored toy bird. It flaps its wing and takes flight. The rest of us laugh. See, said Tim, I told you, there's always time for magic. By the way, no birds were hurt in the performance of that trick. But I heard the bird, I say, because I've been studying ventriloquism. Wow, cool. We keep picking up trash and stuffing it into bulging black bags. And when we hit the half-mile mark, I hear Gabrielle's phone blare with what sounds like a fire alarm. That's an hour, she proclaims. She taps on her app on her iPhone, and pretty soon other kids start doing the same thing. 5 minutes later, all sorts of black town cars and SUVs are pulling over on the side of the road, and everybody calls it Uber or their family driver. Come on, Piper, said Emily, waiting for me at the car. The mathletes meeting is in 15 minutes. You need to be there. If you merry minstrels want to knock off, you can, says Mr. Van Dusen. You put in your hour. It counts. You've done your duty. You may go in peace. I turn around and I look back at the half mile we cleaned up. But it looks so much better behind us, I say. True, said Kwame. So let's keep going. Emily, mathletes is your thing. You don't need me. But you need mathletes for the Excelsior. I guess, but right now, I think this highway needs me more. You sure? Positive. Okay, see you guys tomorrow. Emily climbs into her car, and she heads back to school. Me, I head back to the trash. Chapter 34, Course Corrections. Hey, Tim, Kwame says, you know any magic tricks to make garbage disappear? Can't you just wave a wand or something? Sorry, says Tim. I left my wand at home. We all start picking up litter again, and I'm grabbing soggy junk out of the weeds. I come up with an idea. Okay, guys, I say, whoever picks up the most trash in the next 15 minutes doesn't have to do any work for the 15 minutes after that. Good idea, says Miss Oliverio, and I'll sweeten the prize. Whoever finds the most interesting piece of garbage will receive 1 get out of a pop quiz free card for science class. I'll throw in a Shakespeare action figure, says Mr. Van Dusen. Woohoo, says Kwame, game on. We each grab our own bags and we start snagging litter so fast you'd think we just guzzled a gallon of coffee. Suraj's trash bag is the heaviest, and so he wins the 15 minutes free. But he pitches in during the next burst of cleaning anyhow. Kwame wins the Skip-a-Pop quiz card. He found a giant stuffed purple panda. 15 minutes later, with one more quiz freebie on the line, and everybody snagging trash as fast as they can, we're done. Tim's our final winner. He found a dented trombone. I'm not in your class this term, he tells Miss Oliverio. Well, I'll hold it over till next term, she says. You guys did such a great job. Kudos to you all, said Mr. Van Dusen. Props to Piper, said Kwame. She came up with the master plan. She should be president of the Chumley Prep Social Awareness Club, says Suraj. Do we have one of those, asked Kwame. We could start one, says Tim. Right, Mrs. Oliverio. It's fine by me, she says. Mr. Van Dusen and I will even be your faculty advisors. Right, Shaq? Will there be coffee? Definitely, says Miss Oliverio. Then I'm in. All of a sudden, my mind starts whirling with ideas. I'm kind of excited. We could pick other causes too, I say. We could volunteer at a homeless shelter or food banks. Or teach kids math or play board games at Mrs. Gilbert's Senior Citizen Complex and walk a rescue dog at the animal shelter. I nominate Piper for president, says Tim. I second that nomination, says Kwame. All in favor say aye, matey, huh? It's more fun than plain old aye. Everyone says aye, matey, and just like that, I am president of a brand new club. And to tell you the truth, I don't really care if it impresses the Excelsior judges. Doing good just feels good, so I want to do more of it. Who do I want to be? Someone who always finds a way to do good? Nellie Dumont Frise says, leave this planet better than you found it. But that's not going to happen unless people chip in and help. And I want to be one of those people. Chapter 35, Connecting the Dots. As we drive to school the next morning, Dad is beaming with pride. President of the Social Awareness Club, he says with a smile. Yeah, we're going to have a meeting first thing this morning. Social activism is the kind of thing your mother used to do. Really? Yep, when we were in college at Michigan. But everybody always talks about what a great cello player she was. She was, but honey, nobody is just one thing. We're like those constellations you're always telling me about. You need to connect all the dots to see the whole picture. Wow, interesting. I let that sink in. Hey, Dad, guess who called me? Who? Mr. Breckenridge. Brooks' dad? Yep. Remember how he came up to me at the science fair reception and we talked about my music? Turns out he's seriously considering talking to those New York City investors he advises. He's going to recommend that a group of them finance a workshop production of Dreamtime. Wow, I say, wondering if maybe Dad was right. Chumley Prep could turn out to be the best thing ever to happen to both of us. That's amazing. I know. We park in our spot. It now has Dad's name painted over Mrs. Glasses. Dad's phone buzzes, and he glances at the screen. I have to run, he says. Dr. Throckmorton wants to discuss an extremely urgent matter. See you later, I shout as he sprints across the parking lot. I dash up the front steps and I head for the media center. I want to organize my social awareness thoughts before I see the rest of the gang show up for a quick 15-minute next stop meeting. We need to pick our next activity, figure out what we should do first. Knowing how much Mr. Pugsley means to Miss Gilbert, I'm pumped about a project called Seniors for Seniors. The idea is to match people over 60 with dogs over 7. The hardest ones to find homes for. I've already sent an email to PAWS, a group in Washington State that runs a similar program. I'm hoping that they'll kickstart our own Seniors for Seniors adoption program. I also talked to Mrs. Gilbert. She set up a meeting for me with the activities director at her senior citizen complex. Hopefully I can convince them to work with us. Maybe I should take Mr. Pugsley with me. Hello, Piper Millie. Ainsley strolls in the media center. She sees the 3-ring binder I made last night, and it has big Chumley Prep Social Awareness Club sign tucked in the clear plastic sleeve on its cover. So it's true, Ainsley sneers. What's true? You and those other dorky nerds had so much fun picking up trash along the side of the road, you decided to start your own club. Yes, we did. We have faculty sponsors, too. So do I. Excuse me? Didn't you hear the news? I was elected president of the Chumley Prep Philosophy Club. My friends and I started it a few minutes ago. Is that really a thing? It's as much as a thing as your Social Awareness Society, or whatever you call it. I'm sure Mrs. Zamek will be our faculty advisor. Oh, by the way, if you think a fake president of a fake club is going to help you win the Excelsior Award. What? That's not why we started this club. Ainsley smirks. You're wasting your time. 10 days from now, I will be the one taking home the Excelsior, and you'll just be a nobody. In case you didn't hear, I excelled at lacrosse yesterday. I was the MVP. They gave me a trophy and everything. Tomorrow, I'll ace the forensic competition. Mrs. Zamek is the faculty advisor for that club, too. She wants us to do persuasive arguments. Sounds interesting. It is. It's also for club members only, and guess what? Membership is closed. I smile and nod and scratch the forensic club off the mental list of activities I might try to excel at to impress the Excelsior judges. Because it's hard to excel at something when you can't even join the club.